Hey, this is Phil from Race City Retro, and today we're going to do something pretty cool. We're going to talk about the restoration of vintage valve covers. Valve covers set the whole tone under your hood. And by that I mean, you open a hood, you see a set of stock valve covers. It's probably a restoration. You see a set of polished billet with a red heartbeat. It's probably some type of old street rod that hasn't been updated in a while. You see a set of gold Morosos. It's probably some 80s street racer. You see a set of FINNED aluminum valve covers. Definitely thinking 60s, maybe early 70s. FINNED aluminum valve covers are probably the most popular valve cover ever put on a muscle car, a gasser, a hot rod. Mickey Thompson probably made 1,000,000 pairs of valve covers for all different types of engines. When you go to swap meets, they're everywhere you look. Well, I shouldn't say that though. Lately, this stuff's been getting real hard to find, especially some of the rare ones like I'm going to show you today. One of the things that I do here at Race City Retro is I always look out for vintage speed parts and I give them a full restoration. Sometimes I keep them, sometimes I sell them. Today, we're going to work on a real neat pair of Mickey Thompsons. Now this is a rare pair because this is for a 351 Cleveland, which happens to be the same head that's used on a Boss 302 Mustang. So that's a real rare pair if you're looking to do, a 60s, 70s type racer. Cool piece. I got a pair of them over here. Let me show you what to look for when you go to a swap meet and you pick up a pair of valve covers. Don't just pay and run, because a lot of these valve covers have gotten damaged over the years. Some of it you could fix, some of it's a little harder to fix. If you don't have the capability to do major repairs on these, TIG weld, stuff like that, just stay away. Look for a better set. You'll come across them sooner or later, especially small block Chevy stuff. Small block Chevy Mickey Thompsons, they're at like every swap meet. They made so many of them. Let's take a closer look at these, and I'll show you a few of the things that you should really look for when you're at the swap meet looking at vintage aluminum valve covers. Okay, so you're at your favorite swap meet and you see this pair of valve covers laying on the ground or sitting on a table, and you ask the vendor, what do you want for those covers? Because there's never a price on anything at the swap meets. And don't you love when they put that sign up, call me, I'm out looking for more parts. I don't call anybody. If you're not going to price your stuff, please, I'm not going to waste my time. Every time I call you too, it always goes right to your voicemail. So one of the things first off you're going to look at is the bolt hole areas. Now, you got to remember, these are made from cast aluminum. Years ago, things were cast differently than they are today. You're going to look at each and every bolt hole. And what you look for initially is cracks. A lot of times guys would put these on a car and just tighten the heck out of them. And you'll see a crack coming out of the bolt hole or in this area, because they literally press down on them so hard they'd break away from the valve cover. These look really good. Now on Mickey Thompson valve covers too, yeah, these look really, really good. The tops had these, they came closed. The tops had these knockouts, they call them. You could knock this out and then you're going to get what you have there. That was kind of whacked out. And what you have there, that's for an oil fill cap. This has got, if you look, you can kind of see it in there, a ringed area where you could put a 2-tab oil fill cap, turn it, and that could be an oil fill or an oil fill with a breather, whatever you like. You could also put a PCV grommet on there and put your PCV valve in there as well. You want to look, especially on the small block Chevy covers, for overholes. A lot of times you'll see guys will pop out every hole, and a lot of the small block Chevy ones have 4. They'll knock it out here, knock it out there, knock it out there, knock it out there. All right, so you put your 2 oil fills in so you could fill on either side. You put your PCV in, but then what do I do with this 4th hole? I like them when they're not popped, because then I could do what I like with them. But this one, you got 1 popped, and one of the things I found when I initially looked at these valve covers, if you look in the middle of the, there, see it? Looks like somebody was gonna knock this one out. They drilled the hole. Then they said, no, I'm not gonna knock it out. I like the fact it says Ford. And it looks like they just stuck some Permatex or something in there. See? I caught that when I looked at them. See it? But that's something we're going to have to knock it out now because I'm not leaving it like that. I'd be concerned it's going to blow out or suck in or something like that. And these tabs you see here, this is if you want to put a baffle plate. This one doesn't have it on it. This one does. That's what those look like. Just stops too much oil from getting up if you have a real like high volume setup in your vehicle. That's why they put those on. You don't have to run them. I'll run them if they have them. I'll take them off when I blast these. These also have the original drippers. See these pieces? Let me turn so you get some dimension. They're probably about an inch long. On the big block Chevy ones, they're a little longer. And what those are is when the oil splashes up, it gets on these and drips down on the rockers. Keep the rockers oiled a little better. Some guys snap these off, but it's nice to see that these covers still have all the original ones still on them. And what you're looking for under here, so the tops look good. You flip them over. You're looking along here for cracks. The rails look really nice on this. Everything looks good. Now, aluminum valve covers will get this white stuff on them from sitting. When you blast it, that comes right off. If this goes for years and years and years, all this white stuff turns into pits in the aluminum. Try and stay away from stuff with pits because it's actual pieces of the aluminum falling apart and it makes them thin and brittle. So these, that's fine. That's going to come right off. It's like an oxidation. But once it gets to pits, you'll see these real deep pits. Stay away from those covers. You know, unless you're buying them for wall hangers. And one of the things you're going to see on Mickey Thompson stuff, let me turn this one around so you can read it. He'll always put, see, Ford 351 Cleveland, or he puts a part number if you have an old catalog. And see, these are probably done in the 70s because I guess at one point Holly was making them for Mickey Thompson, or they bought out Mickey Thompson. See, it says Holly-Mickey Thompson. So you know they're the real deal. They're not counterfeits. Believe it or not, I have found these Mickey Thompsons that, I don't know if guys were making molds and doing them in their garages or whatever, but they're smooth on the inside, and you can tell they're a little weird and strange, and there's some type of counterfeit. Now, on top, you're worried about cosmetics. Scratches, stuff like that. That can be taken care of. Let's flip these over and just get a closer look at the tops of them. So we already know we have a hole right here. We're going to have to knock this out and put 2 oil fill caps, or you can put a PCV grommet on that one or the other one, whatever your particular engine setup needs to run. Let's flip these over and take a better look at the tops. One of the things I always look for is the condition of the fins. These look great. A lot of times you'll see fins cracked off. Sometimes people have to grind them down if you're running something with a interference issue, but the tops of these look really nice. I don't see any broken fins, any cracks on the MT letters. Everything looks really, really good on these covers. They were probably on some old show car. They got a gold paint job to snazz them up. When I do them, generally I'll do them 1 or 2 ways. If it's a nice clean set like this, I'll blast them, which you're going to see. And then I'll put some good paint on them to seal them. If you blast them and you leave them raw, they're going to oxidize again. They're going to get dull again. If you seal them with a good aluminum paint, they'll always look the way they do when you painted them. So just make sure everything looks good with that. And things like this, this is a mold line. That's not a crack. It's just a casting line. You'll see that on them. Don't be worried about stuff like that. And that's the same on the bottom. Let's flip this over one more time. You see, like around the oil drips, you'll see those are just casting lines. Those are not cracks. You'll see a crack will be very dark. See, all the drippers have them. You know, when they were casting these things, the technology wasn't what it is today. So you can't expect, you know, crazy great perfect quality. These were like what they used to call a raw casting. So you'll see stuff like this. That's not a hole. That's just the knockouts to break the mold apart when they casted these. That's no big deal. So you see them running along each side. Another one there. Another one one there. You know, this overall, these valve covers are probably close to 50 years old. They're probably from sometime in the 70s. So I'd say that's a really, really nice set to start with. We're going to make them an even nicer set. Let's see what the next step is. Now, these are clean. There's no grease in them or nothing. If these had grease in them, I clean them with some degreaser before I put them in my blast cabinet, because you don't want all that grease getting in with your blast. Your blast cabinet, it'll recycle the blast as it blasts. So if you got a ton of grease in here or pieces of gasket, always clean that stuff up first. You don't want to clog up your blaster. You want to pre-clean your covers as clean as possible before you put them in the blaster. Let's take a look at the blaster. I'll show you what type of setup I'm running. Okay, so this is my blast cabinet, and it's not a huge unit, but for what I use it for, it's perfect. I do mainly small parts, valve covers, intake manifolds, exhaust manifolds, brackets. More than enough room with this one. It's a lift up top, which is great because you don't have to have room for the door to swing open, the door to swing open. You put your stuff in there, you turn on your light and your vacuum, you hook up your air source to it, which is my air hose here. I have my Quincy compressor down there ready to rock and roll. And basically how a blaster works is it's picking up, if you see down in the bottom, that media material, sending it through the hose. Let's see, let me hold this door open. No, yes, no, maybe. Sending it through this hose when you squeeze the trigger. So the air is going to pressurize that blast just like a spray gun, and it's going to blast that valve cover and take the old paint and prep that valve cover for new paint. You put your hands through here to protect your hands while you're holding and moving the part around in there. The light lights it all up, you're gonna see. And the vacuum, see this has a vacuum unit. What that does is it sucks all the blast out that's circulating in the air up here so you can see what you're doing. If you turn the vacuum off and try and blast, it's gonna get so cloudy in here that you're not gonna be able to see what you're doing. This is a great unit. This is from Scat Blast. Dry blast system. These guys come out of, it's TP Tools. They come out of Ohio. All these units are American made, very well sealed, but it's still a good idea. You got to wear a dust mask when you blast, because just opening the door, closing the door, you're gonna have a lot of stuff in the air. You really don't want to breathe that material in. Okay, one of the things I do keep in here too, I keep a little bristle brush. So if while I'm blasting I see something, a little piece of gasket or whatever, I could scrape it right off and continue blasting. I don't gotta shut it off, open the door, because when you shut it, you gotta wait a second too for that vacuum to take the stuff out. You don't want to just flip the door right open and have it flying all over your garage. So it just keeps you going at a good pace. And if you're blasting on a hot day, your hands are gonna get sweaty. Keep a thing of baby powder around, powder up your hands, put them in with powder on them. Otherwise, you're going to be sticking to the inside of the gloves in there. But when it comes to a blaster, spend some money. You can get some cheap ones, but they leak and they're just horrible. It makes the experience really horrible. I think this piece was about maybe $700 when I bought it. Here's the model. Let's put this down. There you go. There's the website, TP Tools, SC33V. And this was made right in Ohio, made in the USA. They ship it out. Good piece, good size window. And see, you'll see up here I have some extra screen protectors. This has a clear protector on it that peels off right here. And what that does, it stops the sandblast from ruining your glass window. So these, once they get cloudy, I just changed it. Once they get cloudy, you peel this off, put a new one on. This way you can always see what you're doing. It's important to be able to see what you're doing when you're blasting parts. And another good thing too, you want to just make sure you have a water separator on your compressor, because you don't want water getting in there. It'll clog up your blast. All right, and there's your vacuum system. Show you a little of my garage / shop here. And that's the compressor that I use, the Quincy. Really good piece. Small, it fits good, but it's powerful. Keeps up with the blaster, no problem. When I blast, though, I'm going to shut the compressor off so you can see what I'm doing. Oh, I got to get gas for my welder. I just remembered. Thanks for reminding me. And there it is. It's a great system. It's not super huge. It's not going to take up half your garage. You don't need a big, tremendous blaster unless you're doing like, you know, rear end housings or chopper frames or something. For most car guys, this is the perfect size. Like I said, intake manifolds, no problem. Valve covers, no problem. Brackets, no problem. Really anything, you know, aside of doing like body panels, which you would want to do outside anyway, or send them out to a guy with a big setup, you really don't need, you know, anything bigger than this. It works out great. It's a cool picture, isn't it? Look at that thing. I got that from an antique store. That was somebody's duster back in the day. Pretty cool, huh? All right. All right, so let's get that one of those valve covers in here and start blasting on it, and I'll show you guys how that goes. Okay, so I put the first valve cover in the blast cabinet, and you can see there's plenty of room to work in there. Like I was saying, this is the perfect size unit for doing stuff like this. I turn the light on. I don't have the vacuum on at this time. What I'm going to do is let me reposition the camera. I'm going to shoot some blast on this thing just to show you what happens when you blast. I am going to turn the vacuum on. It's going to get loud. You're not going to be able to hear me, but just I'll explain afterwards. Always make sure too, before you start blasting, latch your door down and put your dust mask on. Okay, give me a second. Let me set this thing up, and then I'll show you what happens when you blast it. Okay, guys, that might sound a little funny. I have my dust mask on now. I'm going to show you a little sandblast on this. I'm not going to put the vacuum on. If it gets too cloudy, I'll have to put the vacuum on. But I just want to show you what happens in the blast cabinet. Put your hands in the gloves. Position your piece. Give it a little squeeze. And you can see it's getting pretty cloudy. And once you expose around the bolts too, you can always check for cracks. If you have a light hairline crack, you can use some JB Weld in there. If it's a major crack, it's going to have to be TIG welded. And if you notice the nice texture, I use Scat Magic, they call it, for my blast material. It leaves a nice texture on the valve cover that when you paint it, it looks like a brand new valve cover. All right, see the cloudiness? If the vacuum was on, you wouldn't see that, but take that to that. Now it's ready for paint. Like I said, if you leave it here just like this, it's gonna oxidize over time. You put a little paint over this, it'll still pick up on the texture nice, and it locks it in, it protects it. But that's what a blast cabinet is all about. See, it gets between the fins. Just take everything off. You go nice and slow. See, you got a little crud in there. Get a little closer. If this clogs, you do that, it'll break it open. But I just wanted you to see the process. And see, like that, that's why I keep my bristle brush in here. Sometimes you get like a carbon buildup or like a gasket material. You got to give something a little massaging. But there you go. That took it off. Yeah, it takes a little doing. You want to get them as nice as possible, because then when you paint them, they look great. And that's it. You just keep going. It don't go too bad when you prep them nice, you know, and they're clean to begin with. Like these, this is a beautiful pair. It makes it easier. Sometimes if you have like a set that were like black wrinkle or something like that, it's a little more involved. But I just wanted to give you a feel of what the blasting process was like. All right, I'm gonna blast both these covers, and I'll show you them when they're done through the magic of TV. Hold on. All right, guys, here's a quick tip of the day that I see a lot of people doing wrong. There's a big difference between a dust mask and a respirator. Respirator is for when you're dealing with chemicals, any type of paint that you're doing that has deadly materials in it that you do not want to get into your lungs, into your bloodstream. You wear a respirator. A dust mask is for dusty jobs. It really should be called a particle mask because it's for keeping stuff out of your mouth, out of your lungs, particles, dust, dirt. It says it right here. Used for sanding, drywall cutting, sweeping, sawing, woodworking, fiberglass insulation like in your attic, yard work, grinding, and dusting. That's it. You're not to use these things when you paint, yet every time I look, some numbskull is wearing one while he's painting, thinking he's helping his lungs. He's not, because the fumes are getting right through it, and you're breathing everything in as if you have no protection at all. This is a respirator. Respirator comes with filters. That's what these are. It'll look like that when you put it all together. Respirator has cartridges that take the deadly fumes out of the air you're breathing in and don't let them get to your lungs. You cannot wear the same respirator for 5 years. I've seen guys wear respirators that are so filthy they're not working anymore. Generally, once you crack this thing open, you have limited time before it goes bad and gets weak and it's done with. When I paint an entire car, I'll use one respirator. I throw it out when I'm done because my lungs are important. I don't want to die of lung cancer. That's a horrible way to die. So anything you could do to prevent it, not breathing in all these fumes, will help you live longer and help you live healthier. And someone's going to ask, why do you have a whole container of peanuts on your table? That's for the squirrels, because when I work with my garage door open, I have a trail of squirrels that come by here daily, and we throw them peanuts because they love them. Okay, so before you ask, I answered. Don't forget, guys, man, I don't want to see nothing bad happen to you. This is for dust. This is for sanding. Anytime you have paint or chemical involved, it's got to be a respirator. And buy a good one. Buy a 3M. Don't buy a cheap one. Buy one that's made good. You see both my products at 3M. When it comes to protecting my lungs, not going to get cheap, not going to cut corners. That's my tip of the day. Okay, so don't forget on this valve cover, this is the one with the Ford plug still in the top, but it's got that hole drilled in it. So what we're going to do is knock that plug out. Now, a lot of people don't realize that when MT did these valve covers, that part of the valve cover they cast really thin so you could push those plugs out. But this is a very old valve cover now, so it's a roll of the dice. And what I found works best is you find a socket that's not super tight, but close, because you don't want to break. You got to leave that lip. That's for when you put the cap in. That's what the cap twists into that keyway. And here's another tip. Don't hit it like this, because if you go through and hit this against the rail, you could break the valve cover. Hit it like this inside the valve cover, so if it goes through, we're not hitting nothing. And you'll notice I'm on a piece of foam, so when that plug goes through, it can go down and through. It's not like you're doing it on a piece of steel or whatever. So let's give this a try. Wish me luck. Let's see, I gotta turn this. It's a little easier. Put that in. Well, there's my Gaston plate. Let's try it from the top. No, that's a tough one, man. All right, I'm not, usually these things, when you hit them once, they fall right out. So I don't know if we're gonna press the issue here. I'll try it one more time. I didn't shatter the valve cover yet, so maybe I still can. Maybe there's still time. All right, so it looks like this one is built Ford tough. It's not popping out. So like I said, I'm not gonna press the issue. I don't wanna shatter this valve cover. We have other tools, many other ways that'll probably start with a drill bit, a uni bit, and then maybe like a Dremel just to clean the outer edge nice and clean. Let's see what we got. Let's see how we can knock that plug out with the hole in the 4.0 because we don't want to leave it like that. All right, let's start with Phil's drill. Normally, you try and find your center, put a center punch, get the bit going. You got the hole already there. Let's just open it up a little. Oh, look at that. Last drill job. All right. Yes, I know it's off center, but that's okay. We'll get it cleaned out. Let's step it up to a uni bit. Love a good uni bit. Now, I had a bigger one than this that I lent to someone. Still don't have it back. Once I figure out who I lent it to, I'll get it back. That's what happens when you lend tools out. All right, maybe we need a battery. That seems kind of weak. Seems kind of wimpy. Let's battery up. All right, let's try a better battery. Nice, but see now we're getting close to that track. I think that might just be from the uni bit. Let's see. Yeah, it's getting close, but that looks like it could be from the uni bit. I'm going to grab that with a plier and see if it'll snap. See that little rim there? We can do that, or maybe we could just put it right in the D. Let's try the D. Too big. You didn't know you could do that with a uni bit, did you? All right, let's grab some water pump pliers, what they used to call these. I don't know what all the kids are calling them nowadays. There we go. So that's what used to happen when you'd hit it with the socket, but like I said, this is a rare set of valve covers. I need to get this out because somebody already drilled a hole in it that we don't want to leave there. Now I'm a little tight over here. Nope. All right, let's try a regular pair of pliers right next to my box here. So you don't have too long to wait. No, see, it's a strange angle. So we just got that one lip. Let's see. No, it's moving, I think. All right, let's try this now. One sec. Maybe a little center punch. Whoa. Let's try a little punch. I think we're better from the bottom. Let's put this, nah, I don't want to do that now. All right, let me get something to put under this too to give it a little lift. Okay, let's try this. There you go. It's just that easy. There you go. See, that's the way they usually snap out in one piece. I'm going to clean these up a little too on both the covers. And then there's your, I got to open that up because that's your keyway. And there's another one on this side where you could put your oil fill cap in and twist it. So I'm going to clean those up, and then I'll put this one in the blast cabinet, and I'll show you the two of them when I'm done. Oh yeah, let's keep it clean. Little dust broom action. Get this mess cleaned off before we make the next mess. Here we go. To the dustpan. To the dustpan. To the dustpan. Nice. Oh, you can see from the back, see those two tabs are still filled in a little, and there's a little bit of an edge on the round part. You want it so your oil filler cap slides nice and stays tight. So I'm going to take a file, clean those out, and let's see how it goes. I'm going to spare you the filing part. I'll show you the finished product. Okay, I wanted to spare you the grinding and the filing, but this is where we want it to be. And you got to remember, this is going to be covered by your oil filler cap, so you're not ever going to see this lip, but I like to get it as clean as I can get it. And you don't want to overdo it, because if you overdo it, your cap will be loose on it. You want it just that half round, the tab, and then you have down under here the rails that lock your cap down and tight. And basically I used a couple files and my Milwaukee drill with one of the little stones on it just to clean it up. I have this junky cap that I test with. When these are painted, I'll put nice brand new chrome caps. So you put this in, you turn and lock it, and look at that. It doesn't even move. That's how you want it. You want it nice and tight. You don't want this thing jiggling where it'll rattle off the engine. Turn it back. It's got to go all the way up and down to come out. See the tabs on this thing? The tabs go in the slots. All right, and now the only reason we knocked this out, normally I would have left it, but the O had a hole drilled in it, so and somebody just stuck some Permatex in it. It's not how we do things here, but I know I've seen Permatex used in some crazy ways on the internet, but I'd rather make it right. So now it's right. Now I could put this one in the blaster, blast it, get it ready for paint. All right, nice and tight. Perfect. Okay, next step. Okay, so there we go, fresh out of the blaster. And as you can see, it stripped all the old gold paint off. They do come a little spotty. That's another reason why I paint them, because you got to realize it's really old aluminum that you're just basically spraying a abrasive agent against. The two caps are open now. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to blow these things down with air, get all the blast material off them. Then I'm going to wash them down with some wax and grease remover before I paint. You don't want to paint with oil from your fingers, oil from anything else on it. You'll get fish eyes where the paint it won't stick. It'll just get little dots in it in those greasy areas. And then as far as the paint, what I use, Seymour Alumablast. Love this stuff. I buy it right at the local AutoZone. Seymour paints are amazing. If you check out their website, they do some incredible colors. And I've never had a paint go on so good, dry so nice, and just last, man. It's amazing, this stuff. And it looks just like aluminum. It's really, a lot of times you'll buy aluminum paint and it looks like chrome. It looks horrible. This gives like a fresh out of the box aluminum look. They also do cast iron. They do a ton of engine colors. Check out their website on Seymour, and they got a ton of paints to choose from. So let me start cleaning these babies up, and then I'm going to get them ready for paint, put a couple coats of paint on them. Generally, I'll put 2 coats of paint on the top, 1 coat of paint on the bottom, just to seal everything in and keep these valve covers protected for years to come. All right, let me get cleaning and let me get painting. All right, guys, I'm getting ready to paint now. I cleaned up those valve covers, washed them down. They're all good to go. And let's open this respirator. I'm just going to show you how these things go together. Real simple. Actually, do I even need a knife? I think I do. What's that? Maybe not. Maybe not. Nope. Pulls apart. Okay. And the one thing about a respirator too, you have to make sure when you put the cup part on your face, this is the part that touches your skin. First of all, make sure it's clean, especially if you've had this thing sitting around a while. Look in here, make sure there's no spiders hanging out in there or anything. I like to put mine in a Ziploc bag, and like I said, you really don't use them that long, and they gotta go. Okay. Now, these are the vapor cartridges, and what these do, this is what takes the bad stuff out of your air that you're breathing in and traps it. Now, respirator also has like a pre-filter, which makes this thing's job a little easier. These are the covers, and in the covers, they give you 2 pre-filters. You're not going to put them both on because you won't be able to breathe with both of them on, but you're going to save a pair of them for later because these things are going to get dirty right from the first time you use them. And they'll tell you, put the lettering in because then you can see the outside as to how dirty they're getting. This will go inside of here on both of them. See, this is what I'm talking about. You'll see a guy on TV, a famous guy with a lot of money, using a respirator that he said using for 3 years. This thing is just black. The minute this thing gets so bad, you can't even tell what color it is. Man, it's time to get a new respirator. Yours isn't working. Like I said, they don't last long. If you're going to paint a car, an entire car, all the parts on a car, that's it. Throw that thing out when you're done. If you're painting parts with it, valve covers, a little at a time, yeah, you could probably get about a month out of it. And then they start getting weak where they're not doing the job right. All right, so these we're going to open now. See those? That's the important cartridge. And these have a keyway. See right there? Turn that out of the way. And basically put them in a slot. It'll only go on one way. And then turn it and click it. You got to feel that click. Once you feel that click, you know it's locked in place because you don't want those things loose either, because then they're not doing the job. Here's the one on your other side. Get it to get on. Nope, goes up. All right, turn it. Nice tight click. Here are your pre-filters. These just snap on, but make sure they snap on good. Make sure they're good and tight, that they're not letting in fumes. Boy, that's really weird. Usually they just click right in, but maybe it's me. There we go. See how tight that is? That's got to be clicked all the way around like that. So now the vapors are coming in here. This is taking a lot of the big stuff out. That's why you'll see the color. Like if you're shooting red paint, this thing will be red like almost immediately. Then it goes through the cartridge. It takes all the rest of the nasty stuff out. Then it comes in here so you could breathe it in. And then when you exhale, that'll come out the front. Now, these have 2. This is the piece that goes behind your head. And this is the piece that goes around your neck. It's got a clasp on it. Generally, I'll leave this around my neck. Take the top piece off, let the respirator drop when I, in between when I'm walking around, just need to talk or whatever. And like I said, this is where you snug it. This has got to be tight against your face. Not so tight you can't move your jaw. But if you're painting and you smell paint, it means it's not tight enough. Make the thing a little tighter. And this way you know, because if those fumes are getting in to your mask, that means they're getting into your lungs. And you don't want that. Whole purpose of wearing one of these. Now what I'll do too, okay, let's get this out of the way, is the instructions. It'll tell you all about everything. What I'll do too, every time I open a new one, I'll find myself a Sharpie and I'll put a date on it, because this way I know if the thing's been sitting around where I haven't used it in a while, then I know how long I've had it. All right, so today's what, the 3rd, 9/3. So that tells me the day I first started using this thing. So, if I pick this thing up in December, I haven't used it in a while, I know it's pretty old. It's not going to be as strong as it should be. And like I said, if you're painting a car, one and done. Use this thing once, they're like $35. Your lungs ain't worth saving money over. One and done. Use it, chuck it. But if you're doing smaller jobs, yeah, you can get a month or so out of it. You'll see the filters start to get dirty. You can even change them. And then that's it. When you start smelling paint in this thing, guess what? It's not working. So if it's not working, why even bother wearing it? Like I said, it's important, guys, man. Don't wreck your lungs. It's a horrible way to die, you know, getting lung cancer. I've known so many body men over the years. One thing you'll never see is an old body man, because back in the day, they didn't wear nothing. They would paint a car without a respirator, do body work without a respirator, and all those guys died way too young. All right, so take good care of your body. That's why you could be fooling around with cars a long time to come. All right, I'm going to go out back and get to painting on those valve covers. Okay, so here we are outside. I don't like painting inside. Too many fumes, too much overspray on everything. So I just usually take it out back by my shed here. Got my table set up. We're going to go over that in a minute. Got the respirator on. I remember before I said you put your bottom piece on, you lock it, stretch your top piece over, and then when you stretch your top piece over, you got to pull your two top straps in to cinch it against your face. Right here, pull nice and tight. I could still breathe comfortably, but I shouldn't smell any paint whatsoever. Let me put my gloves on, and then we're going to start painting. Okay, we're outside right now, as you could tell by the noise of the cicada, wherever you live, you call them something different. This is my painting table, as you couldn't tell by all the overspray all over it. I got my paint shaking really good. Always shake your paint a couple minutes, turn it upside down, get everything mixed nicely so that you get nice coverage when you do this. I'm going to put my respirator on when I start painting. And the first thing I like to do with these is I flip them over and I do the bottoms, one coat on the bottoms. All right, so let's turn these over. These have been cleaned and blown off and are ready to go. And I'm gonna give them one good coat of paint on the bottoms. All right, I'm gonna put my respirator on, so it'll be kind of hard to tell. Always test your paint before you spray it. Make sure your nozzle's clear. Keep your paint level, just like a robot, back and forth, even stroke, same distance, don't go in, don't go out. And go past the item that you're painting. Don't stop at the end, keep going a little. The same way you would paint a car. Now I'm going to spin the valve covers around so I can see what I missed on the other side. And notice I have gloves on to protect my hands and to keep my finger oil off the fresh cleaned valve covers. And that's it, full coverage, one good coat on the bottom. Let them dry before you flip them. So I'm gonna go away a few minutes, let these things dry like 5-10 minutes. I'll come back, flip them over, and then we'll do the tops. Okay, I let these things dry probably about 10 minutes or so. You never want to flip them over while they're wet and just start painting the top, because what will happen is while they dry, they'll stick to the cardboard. You'll go to pick them up and you'll have cardboard connected to your valve covers. So now I can see they're dry to the touch. We're good to go. Bottoms look great. We're going to flip to the tops. I'm going to put my respirator on, and I'm going to give these two coats. We're going to put one light coat on, and then the second coat will be a little bit heavier. You never want to put paint on super heavy right from the get-go, because that's how you get runs. If you do get a run, not a big deal. Just wait for it to dry real good. You can either take a razor blade and scrape the run, or you can take a little sandpaper, sand the run, and give it another coat of paint. Let me put my respirator on. Let's give these the first coat. And notice, when I put this thing on, look at the amount of paint that's in the air around me. If you paint without a respirator, you gotta be crazy breathing in all that stuff. There's a lot of really bad things in the air when you paint. So get yourself a good respirator and wear it. You'll be glad you did.
Notice I'm painting everything that faces me right now. When you paint these fins, oh, that's another thing too. Watch these gloves, because if your glove starts hanging over, it'll get caught in the paint, see, and start dripping down on your cover. So always pull your one finger way back. Yeah, make sure you get in the fins real good. That's what you're looking for. And down low. You want to make sure you get this edge. Just one quick light coat. Got the fins good. That looks good from that angle. Now I stick my finger in the oil hole and I'll pick it up and flip it. Flip it. All right, let's do the other side. See the amount of overspray in the air? That's why I don't paint in the garage. And that's why I wear a respirator. I know it looks cool to paint without a respirator, but it's really stupid. That looks awesome. Get the lows, don't forget, get that bottom edge real good. Look for missed spots. Look at it from every angle. Look at both of them. Let this stuff dry. Same thing, about 5-10 minutes, and then we're going to give them one final coat. You don't need to see that. It's the same thing you just saw. Your next scene will be, I'll have them in the garage, all clean, ready to go. You can look at them in the light, see what they look like.
All right, guys, so there you have it. They're all done, paint's dry. They look good. They got a fresh set of twist-off breathers on them. Or you could put an oil fill cap, or you could put a PCV grommet. When I sell them with new breathers as well. Soon they'll be listed to sell. Had fun doing these with you guys. Like I said, main thing when you buy them, look around, make sure they're not cracked, shattered, have an ear missing off them or whatever. Try and find some good ones. We're just getting tougher and tougher. These things are getting so old now. You know, they're all pushing 50 years old or older. They've been around. They all got a story to tell. But these are in surprisingly nice shape for their age. They'll make somebody a real nice prize. The fact that they're so rare, being 351 Ford Cleveland valve covers, which also work on the Boss 302 because it had Cleveland heads on that engine. It'd be a real nice piece for somebody doing like a day 2 car. Please be sure to like, be sure to subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything, it's free. And leave me some comments. Let me know what you think. If you learned something, if you think I'm doing something wrong, right, just be polite, man. If you're going to leave something stupid, don't waste your time. I appreciate all the comments. I read every one of them. If you guys have any questions, always feel free to put it in the comments below. And like I said, I'll read everyone. I'll answer. I'll be glad to help you out. But they're still out there at the swap meets. Not as easy as they used to be. You used to see them everywhere. Now it's getting tougher and tougher. So grab them when you see them because they're not making stuff, you know, like this anymore. Good old American-made stuff. Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching this video. Greatly appreciate it. Be sure to check out our website at racecityretro.com for all our automotive products, over 1,000 automotive products. And check us out on Instagram, Race City Retro, and on Facebook, Race City Retro. See what we're up to. Thanks for coming along, guys. Take care.